Well, good afternoon, everyone. How are you? And how is you doing on an afternoon? Rare, but we do once in a while do that. Let's see if I can say hello to you folks as you get your notifications. So far, haven't seen any. Okay, there we go. Got a couple coming on, and usually in the afternoon we don't get the same crowd live, but anyway, we appreciate you guys when you can come on. Let's see here. If I even there, I got, okay. Okay, how are you? Okay, let's see if I see anyone here that, okay. So far, nothing here for my end. Okay, how are you guys? There we go. There we go. There we go. Kevin, you are number one on the hit parade today. Kev, our mayor from Oshawa, Rosa from Montreal, and Judy from New Brunswick. How are you? Janice from Brampton. Samaya, how are you? From Sault Ste. Marie. Fran, Orangeville. How are you, Fran? Danny, Denise from Oakville. Danny Lay, how are you? Norma, Karen, Frida, Wendy from Markham. Catherine, Springdale, Newfoundland. Georgie, Halifax, Nova Scotia. Kathy from Simcoe, Ontario. Nativity, Joanne, Marlene, Madalena from Laval. Bonjour. Cecilia, Nouveau-Brunswick. Deb and Gail, Mount Pearl, Newfoundland. How are you? Linda. We love those Lindas. From Owen Sound. And Fran says she's great. I'm glad you answered me, Fran. Madeleine, Kippawa, Quebec. Beverly, Bruno, how are you today? Anna from, where are you, Anna from, anyway. I know it's always coffee time. Anna, Brenda, Janice, John from Owen Sound. Darlene, good afternoon. Rosa, Rosa says, it's the first time that my scroll is correct. Hey, Rosa, I have no idea how these things work. And guys, we love you dearly. Okay, and thank you for coming on. We have a smaller group this afternoon, but that's all right. That's all right. Now, a couple of things, just housekeeping. One, Black Friday's coming. Right? So Thanksgiving on Thursday in the United States, Black Friday everywhere. Even Canadians love Black Friday. And we're going to have a Black Friday sale, just a reminder. So that's on Friday the 28th and right through December 1st, the Monday. Now, the book, okay? The book, yes, from what I heard, is going to be ready for the sale. So Friday the 28th, you're going to be able to get a copy of the book, Rebuilding Your Temple. Guys, you will love this book. I promise, I guarantee it, okay? You really enjoy it. And think of friends, family, that might benefit from this book, okay? The blend of health, your body, and a very important part of your body, part of your being, is your soul, okay? And we got a lot of soul food in there for you, okay? So, Friday, okay? Unless something comes up, that book is ready on Friday. Great. At the end of November. Okay, guys, let me talk to you. I read an article the other day, and I just want to, let's do this afternoon. We'll just talk about what you can do to prevent Alzheimer's, okay? What you can do to prevent Alzheimer's. And I want to look at this a couple of different ways. I was reading this article, and actually it was quite good. I liked it. It was practical. You got to get going, and that's what I mean. If you looked at the message of the article, it was you better get cracking. You better get cracking. And I like that because it reminds me of eggs. You better get cracking. And we'll talk about food in a minute, but eggs are part of it, and I'll tell you why in a minute or so, okay? But this article was just talking about you need to prepare. You need to prevent, okay? And this was a psychiatrist who wrote the article, and it was actually quite interesting. Said, look, I mean, as far as Alzheimer's go, there's a lot of proof that you can prevent it from coming on, okay? So what is the biggest concern? When you get my age, I can tell you without any doubt, the biggest concern I have is for up here, okay? The brain. I want to protect it. I want to protect my memory. Of course, who doesn't? And it's something that I can tell you back in the 70s when I was in school. See, that's a long time ago. When I was in school in the 70s, we didn't even talk about it. We didn't even talk about it. I'm sure there was dementia around and some Alzheimer's, I'm sure of it, but we didn't talk about it. Okay? We didn't, and it wasn't part of our, if it was part of our curriculum, I don't even remember. It was amazing how they separated mental health almost completely from the body, okay? So there was never any, it was all psychological. And it was all, and then of course in the 70s, and I happened to be around, I saw it happening, a lot of mental health drugs, including SSRIs, came on the scene, and Prozac and others. And, now it was all about drugs. And they never talked about prevention of it, or, and I'm only talking mental health, never mind dementia or Alzheimer's. Now, so let me break this down into some categories, okay? Because if you really think of your brain, okay, it's like when I talk to you about your eyes, okay? When I talk to you about your eyes, what do I talk to you about, okay? Now, maybe somebody will tell me. Give me an answer. What is my underlying point about your eyes? What's it all about? Okay, let's see. I'm just scrolling to see if I can see any answers. Give me some answers, guys. Okay, let me go up here and go down here. And if you do, you know what, okay? When I talk about your eyes, what do I talk about? Okay? Judy, DHA, yes. Deb, fat, yes, but something more specific. Okay, because I do talk about DHA in the eye. I do, and Deb, you're fat. But yeah, Dave, you got it. Okay, it's really what I was looking for. Circulation, blood supply. Okay? And you guys are right that said fat and the DHA specifically. For sure you're right about that, because I do talk about that all the time. Your brain and your eyes. fat. Okay? You need fatty eyes. You do. But I talked about primarily blood supply. And when I used to look in to a person's eye, it was fascinating for me as a student, especially, looking and seeing it was all about blood supply. Man, there was more blood vessels in behind your eyes. It was incredible. And I never forgot that. It was such a dramatic picture. And I never forgot that. Blood supply. So eyes, blood supply. Right? Talk about that all the time. Who has the most trouble with eyes? More than any other part of the population. Not even close. Diabetics. Why? Blood supply. Why? Because sugar destroys blood vessels. And guys, your brain, okay, think about this for a minute. Your brain, blood supply. Oh, there's a lot of blood supply in the brain. Okay? There's a lot of blood supply to the brain. And what did they call Alzheimer's? 2005 won a Nobel Prize. Type 3 diabetes. So when you want to protect your brain, think of blood. Think of blood. Blood supply. Very, very important. Okay? So, obviously, you know this. I mean, you never want to have a stroke because that can affect your brain, obviously. What is that? A clot. Blood supply. It's affected. Sugar destroys your brain. One of the ways it does it is that it destroys blood vessels. Destroys blood vessels. And so think blood supply. Very important. Now, secondly, when it comes to blood supply, think of nitric oxide. Okay, why? Because nitric oxide is a molecule. Again, do you know that in the 1970s, I never even heard the word nitric oxide. Now, I heard about nitroglycerin. And they used it even back when I was in school in the 70s for people with angina. They gave them nitroglycerin. And it was immediate because the heart would go into a spasm and blood supply was needed. And there was nothing like nitroglycerin. And even today, they still use it. But what we didn't know in the 70s and what we learned in the 80s is that your body makes nitric oxide. It's a molecule. We didn't even know it existed in the 1970s. And again, another Nobel Prize was awarded to those who discovered nitric oxide. And I'll tell you guys, one of the best ways, okay, because remember what nitric oxide does. It opens blood vessels. Nitric oxide opens blood vessels. And one of the best things you can do with nitric oxide to open up your blood vessels, well, there's two things that I recommend. One, okay, blood supply, remember, cut out the sugars. Sugar is destructive. And anything that's holding hands, sugar molecules holding hands. Your breads, your pastas, your cereals, your rice, your juices, or whatever. Guys, limit that big time. If you can cut it out big time. Okay? So, blood supply. And then a second part of blood supply is first blood sugar, second nitric oxide, elevate it. You know one of the best things to elevate nitric oxide? Vitamin D, the sun. It elevates nitric oxide. So does coffee. And one of the best supplements you could ever take for nitric oxide is Navitol. That's why I love it so much. One of the things that was studied years ago, I remember writing a book years ago, like 35 years ago, on the benefits of pine bark extract and the fact that it was one of the few natural products that went across the blood-brain barrier. You want that. Why? Blood supply. It elevates nitric oxide. It's not only an antioxidant that protects your brain, okay? It protects your brain from free radical damage, but it elevates your nitric oxide. Blood supply. Think blood supply. Sugar negative, nitric oxide positive. Okay? Got the memo? Good. So one of the big things in preventing Alzheimer's is blood supply. Now the second one, you guys got this right when I talked about eyes. Talking about fat. Okay? Fat head. Take it as a compliment. You're a fat head, or at least you should be. Guys, when they do autopsies on the Alzheimer patients, dementia, it shrinks, the brain shrinks. Blood supply, fat. Our whole, can I say a word like idiocracy? Idiocy. The idiocy. We went stupid. The world went stupid. We went fat-free. We replaced butter with margarine. We replaced eggs with cereal. And bacon with toast. And Pop-Tarts. How stupid was that? Well, fat makes you fat, and fat gives you cholesterol. Yeah? And fat don't make you fat, but fat gives you cholesterol. Hello, good. You need cholesterol. But you see, that became the boogeyman. And no wonder today, our brains are shrinking. And by the way, let me get back for a minute to blood supply because I forgot something. Vitamin E. Exercise. Move. Do you know how good that is for your brain? You know, Tony Jr. said this years ago. When I do legs, he goes to the gym and has a leg day, he's thinking of his brain. Okay? And blood supply and fat. Why do you think we love DHA so much? Your brain is made up of DHA. Your brain is made up of cholesterol. DHA. And DHA, by the way, is only found in the animal kingdom. So once again, when someone tells you not to eat steak, run, Forrest, run. Run away. It's not true. Eggs, choline. The synapses in your brain, the brain grid, it loves that choline. You get in an egg and meat and dairy. Eggs are wonderful. I read a study today, I should bring it out later this week, on eggs. Giving children eggs. And cognitive. The difference is incredible. You know, we'd rather give them Frosted Flakes. No, they're not. They're not great. Tony the Tiger isn't great. Now, I like Tony's. That's me. But they used to call me that when I was a kid in school. Tony the Tiger, here he comes. But Frosted Flakes ain't great. Eggs are great. Eggs are great. So good for you. Think of fat. Think of, okay, saturated fat. You know how good that is for you? Saturated, it's satisfied. You can't oxidize it. That's why steak is so good. Eggs are so good. That's why I love bacon. You have oleic acid. I've had people tell me, well, Doc, how about olive oil? Isn't that good for your brain? I said, yeah, but I like bacon better. Got a lot more protein, and it's got the same oil. You mean that greasy stuff that comes off bacon when you fry it up? Yeah, oleic acid. Brain food. Brain food. Okay? Now, so we talked about fat. And by the way, when you're burning ketones, okay, so your body's got two fuels to choose from. You're either going to burn glucose, and any carbohydrate breaks down into sugars. It's the way it is, guys. And that doesn't make them all bad, but it all depends on how fast they break down. But if you bring your sugars, your carbs down to almost nothing, well, your body has no choice now but to make ketones. You're going to burn ketones, fat. Fabulous for the brain. It's rocket fuel for the brain. It is so preventative and so good for your blood vessels and so good for your hippocampus, hippocampus, whatever you call your campus part of your brain, and your hypothalamus. It's so good for that. Blood supply, fat, move. Really, really important. Now here's another one. We'll just do a little bit of a shorter version today. Inflammation. Lower it. Lower inflammation. Okay? And the best way to do that is to eat a lot of omega-3. That's why we come back to DHA. Oil. Good oil. You know the problem in our society today, and I think it's a big factor when it comes to the brain and Alzheimer's and even mental health, is all these bad oils. Oils that were meant for your car, like Canada's gift to the world, canola oil, which is just a seed oil. It's a cottonseed oil. That's what it is. Canada's gift to the world. It's a bad oil. Now, it's a good oil if you have a car. It's a good oil if you have a machine. It's highly synthetic. When I go for my oil change, okay, you guys, I know nothing about cars, okay? I know I got to put gas in it, and you got to get the oil changed, okay? Other than that, what do I know? I don't know much, okay? But I asked the question. I asked my grandson, who is a mechanic, okay, son, like, why synthetic? Well, Grandpa, it's got a better viscosity. It doesn't break down as fast. It's meant for your engine, and it's actually very good. Like, fully synthetic oil is a better oil for your car. Not your body. Your body doesn't know what that oil is. So what does it do? Well, because your body doesn't know what it is, it doesn't know what canola oil is. Like if you put canola oil, you know, like you go to a fast food place and they fry their, you know, their chicken or their fries or whatever in bad oil, your body doesn't know what that is. What does it do? Well, it has an inflammation response. It's almost like an immune response. Like, what are you giving me? And your body, the inflammation markers go off. Because you're giving the body something that it doesn't even know what it is. It doesn't know how to process it. So it's flagged as a foreign agent. That's why inflammation is bad for you. It's good if you hurt yourself. Bad if it stays around. And people, they're in a chronic state of inflammation. You know what inflammation does to your brain? It shrinks it. It shrinks it. So you got the memo, guys? Like, this isn't it. I wanted to talk about a few other things. I will. But when we talk about prevention, so remember now, blood supply, fat, the right fat, inflammation, that has to do with the wrong fat. Okay, our linoleic acid, like we're at 20-30 to 1 ratio compared to omega-6. That's not good. Your body wasn't designed for that. Your body was designed for omega-3. And all the processed foods in the middle aisles of your grocery store. And your fast foods. They're cooked in the bad oil. You know, the oil police came around, even told McDonald's, this is years ago, I think in the 60s, you know, you can't use beef tallow. That's fat. It's saturated fat. No, you got to use our fully synthetic Crisco. Oils, bad oils. We changed the oil, friends. It's been a disaster, health-wise. And it's one of the reasons we're seeing so much Alzheimer's today. Okay, guys, I've got to run. Thanks for joining in on a shortened podcast today. We're going to run through Thanksgiving. That's my plan. Okay, we're going to run through Thanksgiving. So Thursday morning, 8:30 Eastern. If you want to join us live. Otherwise, you can watch it later. You can watch it as a podcast. Listen to it as a podcast on your favorite device. Okay, guys, remember Friday, books coming. Big sale coming. We love you dearly. Talk to you soon.